welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for joining us again. I am super happy to have you here today because we are going to talk about time wasters. But before we start talking about time wasters, I want us to kind of reflect back on last week. So last week we basically talked about time management, right? And what that means. And I asked you guys to come up with a daily schedule, weekly schedule, and a monthly schedule to try it out, see what worked best for you. So we're going to take this time to kind of report back to talk about what we did and why whichever one worked for us. Do we have someone that wants to go first? Go for it, Kelly.
Okay. So, I like the weekly schedule because I need like the bigger picture. But then I also like the daily schedule just to give it to me on a smaller scale, kind of like a to-do list. So I'll take my weekly schedule, my Mondays, and then organize it by
So you think you'll do both?
time.
And you'll have a daily schedule for every single day or just a few days in particular? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking every single day. I need to at least write something down to do every single day. I like to be like overly organized. So.
Okay. And so your daily schedule will be more of like your like small, tiny task, and your weekly schedule is kind of like
bigger things that I have to do. Yeah, like a paper due this day or work on this day, and then like my daily schedule will be like specific things that I have to do.
Okay.
Or appointments or stuff like that.
And paper or electronic, which one do you think is best for you?
Electronic.
Yeah.
Because it's always in my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. That works.
Okay, sounds good.
I used all three.
Did you really?
Yeah. So monthly, I would set deadlines. So just the actual deadlines throughout the whole month of when things were. But then the weekly was things I do that week to get to those deadlines per week. But then daily was what to do, the details per day. So it kind of helped to have all three of them spread across.
Now, do you think that it's overkill to have so many? Do you think you're going to get tired of doing it eventually because you have so many different schedules?
Writing, yeah, I think it was kind of overkill.
Yeah.
I think writing down actually just monthly, like setting my monthly deadlines, and then for actual daily details, I use more electronic and use my phone. So I would set like alarms and reminders for tasks to do during the day. But as far as writing down, it really helped to write down the whole month overall.
Sounds good. And so for you, you said you're using both writing and electronic.
And electronic.
Okay. Sounds good. Adam, what about you?
Kind of like what Eric said, like I kind of like using them all three, but then I kind of feel like the monthly one, like I really don't use that one as much because I already feel like like I already know like I did. Like if I start if it's some at the end of the month, I'm already gonna have it in the beginning of the month already set up already, so I'll know when that day comes. I'll prepare for it a few days. But I would feel like more kind of on the weekly, a little bit, just a little bit more than the monthly because I feel like just have it at have it at the end of the week, so the next maybe if it builds onto the next week, so that's when it could probably come into play with the monthly. But I would just say what I learned the daily that one works best for me because I feel like if I'm constantly always doing something, always staying busy, then then the monthly and the weekly will eventually come into practice by itself.
Sounds good. So for you, was it electronic or written that works best?
I would say both.
Both.
Sometimes some days I'll have it in my pocket, write it down. But I would say on the majority of the phone.
Okay. Okay. For me, I'm like you too. I need both. Well, I think you said two, right? Electronic. Yeah. So I need both. I need the electronic calendar. I need the written calendar. I have to have both of them because depending on where I am, I may need easy access to it, and maybe I can't pull up on my phone because of internet and Wi-Fi service or whatever it may be. So I like to have both. So I think it's kind of a good safety plan because technology does fail us sometimes too. So it's nice to have both. At the wrong time. That's right.
Every time.
So to get into today's topic, like I said, we're going to talk about time wasters. So I have this little handout for you guys that kind of breaks down the meaning of time wasters and some of the possible reasons we have time wasters in our life. And let's see. So we're going to just kind of go through the very beginning where it says lack of planning. Does someone want to read the possible causes of the lack of planning?
I'll read them.
Okay, go for it.
Lack of planning, possible causes: failure to see benefit, activity orientation, successful without it.
So basically, people often think they're successful without planning. Like, I don't need a plan. I'm just going to do it.
Right.
And it sounds great. You know, we think we're going to remember. And then what happens?
Mm-hmm.
We forget, right? So we need to explore possible solutions to that kind of mentality. Kelly, you want to read those solutions?
Yes. Recognize that planning takes time, but saves time in the long run. Emphasizes that success is often in spite of, not because of, methods.
So that's huge. So yeah, it takes time to write down those schedules, right? It takes time to input them into our phones and into the computer. But that time that you spend creating those schedules is going to save you time in the long run. And so just understanding that benefit. Does anyone have anything they want to share about their experience with that, or should we keep on going?
No, I mean, I'd agree with that. As far as also too, it's kind of a sense of satisfaction when you know that, yeah, I had something planned. I've been thinking about it for a week, and I got it done early.
Yeah.
Like getting something done ahead of time. To me, there's nothing that feels so good to know that.
Right.
Man, on Monday I got this paper due, but guess what? That's done, and it's just you kind of more relaxed and satisfying.
Like
Right.
$1 million.
Yep.
Yeah, it feels good, and then the weight is off your shoulder, especially like when it's a paper or something.
Right.
You know, you have a 4 or 5 page paper, and you're just thinking about it, and thinking about it, and thinking about it. When you finally just get it done,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the pressure is relieved. So might as well just get it done, right?
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So possible causes again of the lack of planning. Of course, we want to avoid lack of goals and objectives. We want to write down our goals and objectives. So let's avoid not planning. Let's plan and be thoughtful in the way that we do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Another possible reason for time wasters is overcommitment. So oftentimes we overcommit ourselves. We say, oh, you know what, I can work 25 hours a week, when really I know I should only be working 15. Or, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and help Susie at church with this church event, and I know that I really need to be in class, or I need to focus on this or focus on assignment. So just making sure that we're not overcommitting ourselves. Adam, do you want to read the possible solutions to how to prevent overcommitting ourselves?
Yes. Choose a few, then say no to further requests for involvement. Decide which things must come first, and develop a personal philosophy of time. Relate priorities to a daily, weekly to-do list.
Right, so learn how to say no. It's huge. A lot of times we are afraid to say no. We feel bad for saying no, especially when it comes to family. For me, anyone have something, a sore spot when it comes to saying no, or something that's hard for them to say no, maybe work.
Yeah, work, friends too.
Yeah,
it's hard to say no to friends.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even if you don't have the time, you just feel not obligated, but a sense of commitment. It's hard to break commitments.
Yeah.
But at the same time, oftentimes I overcommit to things, so commitments get broken. I end up breaking commitments anyway, and that doesn't make me feel any good either. So I guess it's a sense of balance, trying to find a balance, like you said, trying to say no sometimes, and not taking everything on.
Right. So some possible solutions to overcommitment: allow for adequate time, allow for interruptions. It's okay to build that into your schedule. You don't have to have every single thing lined up back to back to where there's no free time. Leave 30 minutes in between something. Leave an hour between something, just in case, you run into a friend at the coffee shop or something. You end up talking for 30 minutes or an hour rather than getting your coffee and then heading back to campus or whatever it may be. So allow yourself some leeway. Build that into your schedule. Act instead of react. A lot of times what we do is we react rather than planning ahead and being thoughtful. If you plan ahead and you're thoughtful, you're able to allow for those little time wasters that may kind of creep in a little bit better. The other thing is haste. So being impatient with details, just acting and not so much thinking, just doing it just because it's the thing to do and you're in the moment. In the moment, I have Adam and Eric here that are telling me, oh, Tasha, let's go eat. We got to go. We have to go to this restaurant. And oh, their food's so good. When not thinking about the fact that I really just need to go home and write that paper. Yeah. So, making sure you're not just acting in haste just because it's the cool thing to do at the moment. So does someone want to read some of the solutions to making sure we're not acting in haste?
I will. Solutions are to take the time to do it right the first time, saves doing it over. Distinguish between urgent and important. Take time to plan and attempt less and delegate more.
Does any one of those kind of
Rings true with me. Delegate more is a big one for me.
Yeah, delegate's huge.
Yeah. Oftentimes it's hard for me to delegate just because, again, overcommitting to things. And me personally, I feel like if I say I'm going to do something, then I have to be the one to do it. But learning that teamwork also, gets things done.
Yeah.
So being able to pass certain responsibilities on to other people and those things getting done also, it saves a lot of time in the long run.
What about you, Kelly?
I think I just need to take more time to plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it right the first time. Just take more time, do it right the first time.
Yeah. Same here. Take time to plan.
I think a good one for me is distinguish between urgent and important.
Yeah.
That's hard too.
Sure.
Thinking about like what really is important at the time versus urgent. Like, a lot of times we don't, it's just prioritizing. Yeah, making sure that we prioritize. So let's go to the second page here. So visitors, it's a huge topic, especially for college students, right?
Right.
So possible reasons for visitors: enjoyment of socialization, of course, inability to say no. Some of the solutions to visitors: do it elsewhere. If you have them come to your house, what ends up happening?
Chill all day.
They sit there forever. No one leaves when they come to your house, right? But if you go somewhere else, say you go out to dinner instead, or you go hang out somewhere rather than your home, or even if you go to their house, you can get up and leave when you're ready to. That way, you have an exit out, right? Because it's sometimes hard to tell people, sorry, I got a paper to do, I need you to leave, or I got to be up early, sorry, bye. It's much easier if you allow yourself an exit. Meet visitors outside or at the door. That could be a little rude depending on who it is or that kind of thing. But you know what? Sometimes you have to advocate for yourself. You're your own best advocate. Advocate. So if you really have something going on and you really need to get it done, meet him at the door and simply say, hey, right now is not a good time. I promise as soon as I get done, I'll give you a call. We can hang out. Avoid situations where you'll like to visit but don't have the time. So avoid situations that, unnecessary social situations. Don't be afraid to say no. Be unavailable. Modify your open door policy. If people think they can just show up to your door, don't be afraid to say, hey, it really would be helpful if you call first. Yeah. So let's kind of just start thinking about our own personal time wasters. What's one that's really big for each of you and why? And then I want us as a group to offer solutions to the individual on how we can mitigate those time wasters. Does anyone want to go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
For me, it's distractions. That's kind of broad, but like typing a paper, I'll end up on YouTube somehow, or I'll end up listening to music and getting caught up in that. It's a sense of distractions, especially with electronics, being on electronics. I'm working on my phone, but then it goes from a schedule straight to Facebook or something, So I guess it's just staying focused on what I'm supposed to be getting done.
So what can we offer Eric on how to prevent from being distracted?
Maybe you should write things down more. Like when you have a paper, maybe write a rough draft. So when you're typing, it's already done. So even if you do get distracted, the paper's done. It's just a matter of typing it.
That's true. I don't do that.
Yeah, I usually just type while I'm.
I just go for it.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
Really?
If I am doing a paper and I'm typing, I will have writer's block. I have to write it out.
Hey, so that may
might
be
help
something to try.
because that's what happens is it's writer's block and then there's nothing, but then it's YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So then at least the paper will already be written.
Yeah.
Good one. Yeah. What about you, Adam? Have anything to offer him for distraction?
Yeah, I was thinking that instead of like trying to do like at your house, maybe just do it at school. Just in that environment. And, yeah.
one piece of advice I have too is that distractions sometimes are okay. I know with my brain, sometimes I have to break away for a little bit and watch YouTube or something because I can't just sit there for 4 hours and type of paper. And understanding that that's okay. You know, we're humans, we have active brains and minds, and it's normal. But it's just being able to cut yourself off and say, you know what, okay, for 10 minutes, I'm going to look at this YouTube video for a little bit, and then I'm going to go back to my paper. You know, so being able to stick to that and understanding that it's okay for your mind to wander, but just kind of reminding yourself when to bring yourself back.
Good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go for it, Kelly.
My time waster is naps.
Really?
Yes. If I go home, I'm gonna take a nap. If I go home and do work, I'm gonna stop my work and take a nap. I'm gonna take an hour nap and I'll get back to it, and I'll wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I've done it so many times where I've had an assignment done at midnight, and I'll go like straight home from school, and I'll start it. Oh man, I need to take a nap, and I woke up the next day. Naps are my thing.
So let me ask you this before we offer solutions so we can better understand you. Is it because you're tired and you're not getting enough sleep? Or is it just because you see the bed and it just makes you think?
No.
Nap.
Probably both.
Okay.
When I do, if I'm reading, sometimes depending on the subject, I'll fall asleep because I'm bored.
Okay.
Usually when I'm home, I'm in my room, so I'm already in the bed. I don't have a desk. I don't do work at the table because it's too noisy. Like my room is the quietest place for me to do work in my house, so I'm in the bed. So like I'll be laying down reading or I'll be writing, and then I'm like, or I have the TV on and I'll start paying attention to TV, and then I'll fall asleep. No matter what, I'm going to bed. So I end up not getting any work done.
So Eric, you have a solution for Kelly?
Kind of goes back to what you said to me about when it was, when I'm getting papers done, where it's okay to take naps. I would say, like in Mexico, they take siestas.
I take sleep. My naps are sleeps. That's what it is.
That's a good thing, but at the same time, it's maybe schedule them. Maybe block out 2 hours, or like Tasha said, knowing that it's okay to do some, but when to come back. So it's okay to take a 2-3 hour nap, but just know at this time you gotta get up and get back to it.
Yeah. Adam, what do you have? Do you have advice for Kelly?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yeah. I would just say because I'm a little the same too. Like sometimes I take naps, but I don't plan them out. And usually my dad gets me like maybe if you don't got a good amount of sleep, maybe you took a nap.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Pretty early.
With that, my brother's the same way. That kid sleeps. That kid takes.
I can sleep
anywhere.
I can just sleep.
Well, I would say I would pay close attention to your environment because if you're laying in the bed and you're trying to read, then just don't do it. Laying on the couch trying to read, don't do it. You may actually have to force yourself to sit at the table, even if that means you may need to get a desk for your room and then actually sit at your desk. Although I'm known for going like this and going to sleep on the desk too. But if you're sitting up, maybe you'll be a little less likely to go to sleep. So just be mindful, I guess, of where you are when you're doing your studying and your work. Adam, what's your time waster?
Just it's like kind of in between those two.
Okay.
It's like it's gonna take little naps, don't get good sleep, but it's more on distractions. Because I kind of feel like even though in my early 20s I had too much distractions with trying to go out, trying to socialize, saying like I should do it now and then I can do all the other stuff later, but I was like I need to come up with big boy pants. Just try to balance all that out.
Yeah, I feel that.
Any solutions?
Yeah, maybe you should combine them and do like study groups, and then you guys can go to Starbucks and you can still hang out, or wherever else where you can get Wi-Fi and something to eat or something. That way you guys are still hanging out and kicking it, but you guys are getting work done.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Eric?
No, that's actually a really good
nice
one.
one.
To know that you have to be productive,
right,
and surround yourself in an environment where you can still be productive, and yet still find enjoyment in what you're doing.
Well, I'm gonna take what you said and point it out because I think it was great about putting on your big boy pants. And unfortunately, That's what it's all about. As we get older, prioritizing and realizing that, we're not kids anymore. And we have to plan and get things done.
Yeah.
And so I think it just comes with time, age, maturity, and hard work.
Yeah.
Learning how to manage your time is hard work. And this is just the tip of the ice. What do they say? Tip of the iceberg. Yeah. All right. So you'll get there in time. You'll get there. So I'll have to say my biggest time waster is family. I think I overextend myself working, being in school myself, having 2 school-age children, and my husband in school as well. And when my husband has a paper that he needs to get done, and he wants my input and advice, and I have my paper that needs to be done, and then I have my 10-year-old that has homework that needs to be done, and having to kind of tell myself, hey, something's got to give. I got to learn how to kind of balance that a little bit better. And I think it's just a work in progress. Anyone have any suggestions for me?
That's a hard one. You can't fix family, so
I'm doomed.
Girl, they get older. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if you could have your older son help your younger son with his work.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Give yourself an hour and say nobody bother me for this hour.
That's a real good one.
Yeah. At least get an hour of work done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my two.
Like that.
Yeah.
I would say delegate. It comes down to delegate.
Delegate. There goes that word again.
Especially with family. Especially if it is family, you're able to delegate a little bit more. Just kind of spread the workload. Spread the love.
Yeah. Adam?
Yeah, I was kind of with Kelly, like give yourself some time and like everybody helps that once, and then everybody has their own free time.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, guys. Well, that pretty much concludes our topic of time wasters. So I want you guys to just kind of go home, recap what we thought about or learned from our first session. Now our second session, our third session will be about procrastination. So let's kind of think about how this all kind of ties in together, and we will visit each other in a week.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
That's it.